MP Dawn Butler joins us now. Dawn, thanks very much indeed for joining us today. Your memories of Jo, you know, a good friend and colleague in the House, and an absolute tragedy and loss last week. How are you feeling and coping at the moment?
It's quite surreal, really. You kind of wake up every morning and hope that it's not really true, that it didn't happen. It's quite a numb feeling, and then you get angry because you think, well, you know, why would somebody have so much hate that they did this to somebody who was going about their public duty, you know, as an MP, looking after the constituents. It was the first day of recess, so she basically left straight away to go and hold a surgery in the first day of recess, and it just makes you really sort of angry and annoyed, and everything rolled into one.
One of the suggestions today, of course, is that instead of sitting opposite each other in the House of Commons, that the MPs sort of, you know, sit next to each other, you know, so people from different political parties are mixed up and united as a sort of tribute to Jo. Is that something that you think is going to go ahead?
I think, to be honest, people will probably sit where they normally sit for comfort. I mean, I know that I'd want to sit with, you know, my colleagues or my comrades and probably cry on somebody's shoulder. But afterwards, when we're all walking to the church for the memorial, which Reverend Rose will be doing, we probably will walk with whoever we're walking with, because, you know, this really was an attack on our democracy. It's an attack on MPs. It's an attack on, I think, as Jo's sister said, all the good people in society, all the good people in the world. It's kind of attack on us, and we can't let them win.
We don't know the exact motivation for the killer that perpetrated this horrific crime, but we do know that this has been a very ramped up campaign with a lot of very strong rhetoric on both sides. People are saying, well, this all has to change. My experience over the years, whenever bad things happen and people say that, very little tends to change. What will change, do you think, the level of discourse in this country in terms of politics?
I think the political debate over recent months has taken a whole new low. I think the Trump politics of America has kind of seeped its way over here in the UK. I think the dog whistle politics has been just very, very nasty, and it just can't continue. You know, you can't continue to spill out that kind of vile and rhetoric and expect it not to have consequences. And I just think that it just has to change. The tone of politics has to change. I think, excuse me, I think the tone of the relationship between the public and the MPs, because MPs work really hard.
How will you? I mean, you're a female MP. You've just seen one of your good friends be gunned down in the street as she was prepared to talk to local constituents. This has to play on your mind, like all MPs, but particularly, you know, someone who was a friend of Jo's. How do you deal psychologically with that? Are you ramping up your own security? I mean, how do you move on from what has happened?
Absolutely. I mean, it's something that we've been talking about for quite a long time in regards to security of MPs. So, you know, you're left to review your own security measures yourself, which seems quite ironic, really.
Well, Nicky Morgan says that she's considering putting a panic button.
Absolutely.
In her
I mean,
office.
it stands to reason. You know, our doors are open to the public. We're doing a public service. So I have a panic button in my office.
Have you ever had to use it?
I've never had to use it, but I get, you know, for instance, I have a person that writes me really nasty letters every week. You know, it's in capital letters, it's underlined, and it's really weird, actually, because on Friday he sent a letter which wasn't so nasty, and he basically said, I want you and your family to be safe. And it makes you think that, you know, some people are angry and they send stuff, but they don't mean you any harm, but you have to think about, you know, it only takes one person, and what happened to Jo shouldn't have happened. We should not be talking about, you know, the murder of my friend.
No.
What kind of person was Jo? You knew her better than most. What kind of woman was she?
She was a little bit kooky. She was fun. She was like a bit of a hippie, in her own words. You know, she was juggling being a mum of 2 young kids and coming into Parliament, and she did it so well. I mean, we used to have such a good laugh. You know, she said, you know, her constituents were talking about she had to smarten up in Parliament, and, you know, we had a laugh about that. And, you know, we had a party on Tuesday on her boat, and if I'd known, you know, that was going to be the last time.
I know, it was terrible for her family and for all of you who knew her.